I'm Eleanor, 72, and my life shattered when my son Marcus secretly arranged to dump me in a nursing home. He claimed it was for my safety, but I discovered his true motive was my estate. Just as despair overwhelmed me, I noticed Nurse Jasmine's genuine smile. That connection would change everything in ways Marcus never anticipated. If you're watching this, please let me know where you're from in the comments and hit that like and subscribe button as I reveal how I rewrote my will and found family in the most unexpected place. My spacious Victorian home felt increasingly empty after Harold passed away 5 years ago. The creaking wooden floors and antique furniture were comforting reminders of our 50 years together, building Garrison Steel into one of the largest suppliers in the Northeast. I managed reasonably well on my own, despite occasional joint pain from arthritis, and sometimes forgetting small things like where I placed my reading glasses. Marcus, my only child, visited with his wife Diana and my grandchildren Jennifer and Lucas about once a month. The visits always followed the same pattern: quick hellos, Marcus checking his phone constantly, Diana inspecting my home with critical eyes, and the children absorbed in their devices. They rarely stayed longer than an hour. "Mom, you should consider getting one of those medical alert buttons," Marcus would say, eyeing the staircase I climbed daily. "I'm perfectly fine," I'd insist. "Dr. Miller says I'm in excellent health for my age." Diana would exchange glances with Marcus. "We worry about you all alone in this big house." My longtime housekeeper, Greta, had been my companion for over 20 years, coming in 3 times weekly to help with cleaning and occasionally joining me for afternoon tea. When she announced her retirement last spring to move closer to her daughter in Arizona, I felt the first real pang of loneliness. "Ms. Eleanor, I hate leaving you," Greta said tearfully on her last day. "You sure you'll be okay without help?" "Of course," I assured her, though I wasn't entirely confident. "I managed this house before you came, and I can manage now." The following months proved more challenging than I expected. Keeping up with the cleaning was difficult with my arthritis. I had a few minor incidents, forgetting to turn off the stove once, and a small slip in the shower that left me with a bruise on my hip, but nothing serious. I maintained my routines: garden club on Tuesdays, book club on Thursdays, and Sunday services at First Presbyterian, where I'd been a member for 40 years. My friends noticed I was moving slower, but respected my independence. My financial situation was more than comfortable. Harold had left me well provided for with substantial savings investments and the house fully paid off. Marcus had taken over as CEO of Garrison Steel after Harold's death, though I retained majority ownership. The company continued to thrive, providing me with generous quarterly dividends. The large house contained countless memories. Harold and I had raised Marcus in this home, celebrated holidays, and weathered life's storms together. Every corner held significance: the dining room where we hosted 40 Thanksgiving dinners, the study where Harold taught Marcus chess, the garden where I tended roses that won local competitions. I maintained Harold's office exactly as he left it, sometimes sitting in his leather chair, just to feel close to him again. His collection of vintage fountain pens remained displayed on his desk, alongside family photographs spanning decades. Jennifer, now 15, had been my little shadow as a child, following me around the garden and helping bake cookies. Now she barely looked up from her phone during visits. Lucas, 12, once begged for stories about his grandfather's adventures building the company, but lately seemed embarrassed by my attempts at conversation. One Tuesday morning, I noticed Marcus's car parked outside when returning from garden club. Finding him in my house unannounced was unusual. "Is everything all right?" I asked, finding him examining papers in Harold's office. He startled. "Just looking for some old company documents Dad might have kept," he said, hastily gathering the papers. "How are you feeling, Mom? Any more dizzy spells?" "I never mentioned having dizzy spells," I said, confused. "Must have misremembered," he replied quickly. "Listen, Diana and I want to take you to dinner Friday. There's something important we'd like to discuss." That conversation left me uneasy, though I couldn't quite place why. Later that evening, while watering plants, I noticed a business card on the floor near Harold's desk: a real estate appraiser. I dismissed it initially, but the seed of suspicion had been planted. The next morning, I received a call from Mrs. Winters next door. "Eleanor, dear, I saw someone taking photos of your house yesterday. Are you planning to sell?" "Absolutely not," I replied firmly. "Must have been a mistake." As Friday approached, my anxiety grew. Something felt wrong about Marcus's sudden interest in Harold's papers and this important dinner. I called my friend Judith, who had recently moved to Florida after her children convinced her to sell her home. "Be careful, Eleanor," she warned. My kids started the same way. First it was, "We're worried." Then suddenly, "I'm signing papers for a condo I never wanted." I assured her I was too stubborn to be manipulated, but her words echoed in my mind as I prepared for dinner with Marcus and Diana. The restaurant Marcus chose was Bellini's, an upscale Italian place where the waitstaff knew him by name. Diana arrived wearing a new diamond tennis bracelet, despite Marcus recently mentioning tight finances when I offered to help with Jennifer's private school tuition. "You look well, Mom," Diana said, studying me as if searching for signs of decline. "I am well," I replied firmly. "Now what's this important matter you wanted to discuss?" Marcus cleared his throat, exchanging a look with Diana. "Mom, we've been concerned about you living alone, especially since Greta left." "I've managed fine for months now," I countered. Diana leaned forward. "But for how long, Eleanor? You're not getting any younger." I bristled at her tone. "I'm not exactly ancient, Diana. Plenty of people my age live independently." Marcus took a deep breath. "We've found a place that would be perfect for you. Sunshine Meadows. It's a luxury senior living community with beautiful grounds activities and, most importantly, 24-hour care." "A nursing home?" I nearly choked on my water. "I don't need a nursing home." "It's not a nursing home," Diana corrected quickly. "It's an assisted living facility. There's a huge difference." Marcus pulled out a glossy brochure. "Look at these amenities, Mom. Weekly outings, gourmet dining, medical staff on site. And it's only 15 minutes from our house, so we can visit more often." "Unlike now," I couldn't resist saying. Marcus flinched. "That's not fair. We're busy with work and the kids. This would make everything easier." "Easier for whom?" I asked pointedly. Diana jumped in. "For everyone. You'd have company your own age, professional care, and no worries about maintaining that big old house." "My home is not a burden," I insisted. "It's where my life with your father happened, Marcus." "Dad would want you safe," Marcus countered. "Remember when you left the stove on? What if you had been upstairs napping? The whole place could have gone up in flames." "That happened once," I protested. "That we know of," Diana muttered, not quite under her breath. The conversation continued in this vein with Marcus and Diana, listing reasons why Sunshine Meadows would be perfect, while I grew increasingly defensive. Throughout dinner, I noticed them exchanging glances, as if following a rehearsed plan. When Marcus excused himself to take a phone call, I noticed an email notification flash on his phone left on the table. The preview showed words that made my heart sink. "Property listing agreement for 1425 Maple Drive." My address. When Diana went to the ladies' room, I noticed a folder in her open purse. Unable to contain my curiosity, I quickly peeked inside and found financial documents with my name on them, including account statements from banks I recognized as mine. By dessert, my suspicions were fully aroused. They hadn't just researched Sunshine Meadows, they had already paid a deposit as evidenced by a receipt Diana accidentally revealed while looking for her credit card. "You've already paid for this place?" I asked, unable to hide my shock. Marcus had the decency to look embarrassed. "We wanted to secure a spot. They have a waiting list, but an apartment just opened up." "How convenient," I said coldly. "Mom, please," Marcus pleaded. "At least come tour the place before you decide." Weighing my options, I realized that direct confrontation might drive whatever they were planning further underground. If they were after my money or my house, I needed proof. "Fine," I conceded. "I'll tour it, but I'm making no promises." The relief on their faces was palpable. Too palpable. "You'll love it," Diana gushed. They even have a garden club." "How nice," I replied, maintaining a pleasant facade while my mind raced. What exactly were they planning? And more importantly, how would I stop them? As we left the restaurant, Marcus put his arm around me. "Trust me, Mom. This is best for everyone." Those words, "best for everyone," would replay in my mind for days to come, because it was increasingly clear that everyone didn't include me. The morning Marcus and Diana arrived to take me to Sunshine Meadows, I noticed something odd. Marcus's SUV was loaded with suitcases and boxes I recognized from my attic. "What's all this?" I asked. "Just a few of your things," Diana said casually, "to make your apartment feel like home." My apartment, I thought this was just a tour. Marcus avoided my eyes. "We thought you might want to stay overnight, get a real feel for the place." I wanted to refuse right then, but something told me to play along. "How thoughtful," I said with forced cheerfulness. The drive to Sunshine Meadows took 20 minutes, during which Diana chatted enthusiastically about amenities, while Marcus focused on driving. We passed through an ornate gate into a complex that resembled an upscale hotel more than a care facility. Perfectly manicured lawns surrounded modern buildings with large windows. The lobby featured marble floors, a grand piano, and a chandelier. A perky receptionist greeted us by name. "Mrs. Garrison, we're so excited to welcome you." Marcus stepped forward with paperwork he'd apparently prepared in advance. I noticed he was filling out admission forms, not tour registration. "Marcus," I whispered urgently, "I haven't agreed to this." "It's just preliminary paperwork, Mom," he assured me, though I could see "admission contract" printed across the top. Before I could protest further, the director appeared, a polished woman in her 50s, named Andrea Wallace. "Mrs. Garrison, welcome to Sunshine Meadows. Your apartment is all ready. Shall we see it now?" I shot Marcus a look of betrayal, but he merely smiled encouragingly. "You'll love it, Mom." The apartment was indeed lovely, a one-bedroom unit with new furniture and a small balcony overlooking a garden. But it wasn't my home. And shockingly, many of my personal items were already there. My favorite reading chair, family photos, even my clothing hanging in the closet. "When did all this get here?" I demanded. "We brought some things yesterday," Marcus admitted, "to make the transition easier." "Transition? I never agreed to move in." Andrea looked confused. "Mr. Garrison, you said your mother was eager to join our community." Before I could correct this falsehood, a gentle knock interrupted us. A woman in blue scrubs appeared at the door, tall with warm brown skin and the kindest eyes I'd ever seen. "Hello, Mrs. Garrison. I'm Jasmine Thompson, one of the nurses who'll be caring for you. Just wanted to introduce myself and see if you need anything." Something about Jasmine's genuine smile made my eyes well with tears. Here among strangers and my son's deception, her warmth felt like the first honest thing I'd encountered all day. "Nice to meet you, Jasmine," I managed. After showing me around the rest of the facility, dining hall, library, activity rooms, Marcus and Diana prepared to leave. "You have everything you need," Diana said, patting my hand. "We'll visit this weekend." "I'd like to go home now," I stated firmly. Marcus looked pained. "Mom, we've discussed this. You're going to stay here now. It's safer." "I never agreed to this." "Please don't make a scene," Diana whispered, glancing around. "We've sold your house," Marcus finally admitted. The world stopped. "You what?" "Well, listed it," he corrected quickly. "The market's hot right now. It's too big for one person anyway." "That's my home." I could barely breathe. "You had no right." "We have power of attorney," Diana said quietly, "for medical and financial decisions." "I never signed that." Marcus looked away. "You did. Last year when you had your gallbladder surgery. Remember all those pre-surgery forms? I felt physically ill. They had tricked me during a vulnerable moment." "We'll visit soon," Marcus promised, backing toward the door. "Give yourself time to adjust." After they left, I sat in stunned silence on my new bed in this strange place. Everything had happened so quickly. My home, my independence gone in an afternoon. A knock interrupted my shock. Jasmine appeared with a tea tray. "Thought you might need this," she said softly. "First day's always the hardest." She sat beside me as I wiped away tears. "They tricked me," I whispered. Jasmine nodded sympathetically. "I've seen it before. But you should know that power of attorney might not stand up if you didn't understand what you were signing." I looked at her with newfound hope. "Really? My sister's a paralegal," she explained. "Plus you seem plenty competent to me. Dr. Peterson will evaluate you tomorrow, but between us, you're sharper than most staff here." That evening I met some other residents at dinner. Frank Weber, a retired history professor, who discussed current politics with remarkable insight. Dolores Simmons, a sharp-tongued former secretary, who complained about everything but made me laugh. Walter Jenkins, who'd served in Vietnam and now collected rare coins. None of them seemed truly incapacitated. Many like me had been deposited by well-meaning, or perhaps not so well-meaning, family. That first night in my new room was one of the loneliest of my life. I stared at the unfamiliar ceiling, thinking of my beautiful home being shown to strangers, of Marcus and Diana planning this betrayal while smiling to my face. A soft knock interrupted my tears. Jasmine appeared, though her shift had ended hours ago. "Couldn't stop thinking about you," she admitted. "Brought you real tea, not that bagged stuff from the cafeteria." As we talked, I learned she'd been at Sunshine Meadows for 3 years. She worked night shifts primarily so she could be home when her 7-year-old daughter returned from school. "Single mom?" I asked. "Yes, ma'am. Zoe's father left when I was pregnant, but we manage." Something about Jasmine's quiet strength reminded me of myself decades earlier when Harold and I were just starting out facing challenges together. "Thank you for checking on me," I said sincerely. "Get some rest, Mrs. Garrison. Tomorrow's another day." As she left, I realized I'd found an unexpected ally in this strange new chapter of my life. Little did I know then just how important Jasmine would become. 2 weeks passed with only one brief visit from Marcus and Diana. They brought the grandchildren who seemed uncomfortable and barely spoke. Jennifer stared at her phone the entire 30 minutes while Lucas asked if he could wait in the car. "They'll get used to it," Diana assured me, though she didn't meet my eyes. "How's the house showing going?" I asked directly. Marcus looked startled. "Fine, some interest already." "I want to go home," I stated clearly. "This is your home now, Mom," Marcus replied with forced patience. "The house is too much maintenance." After they left, promising to return soon, I sat in the garden feeling defeated. That's where I overheard Marcus on his cell phone in the parking lot, his voice carrying through the open window. "The realtor thinks we can get $750, maybe $800,000, he was saying. "Way above what we anticipated. No, Mom's fine, settling in great. Once we close, we can move forward with the lakeside development." I felt physically ill. Whatever lakeside development was, it clearly involved the proceeds from selling my home without my true consent. Later that week, Diana visited alone, supposedly to bring more of my clothes. She accidentally left her purse at the reception desk when she went to use the restroom. The receptionist who'd become friendly with me discreetly slid it my way. "She left these sticking out," the young woman whispered, pointing to some papers. I quickly examined them, a business plan for lakeside luxury condos. Marcus was listed as lead investor with an initial investment of $750,000, almost exactly what my house would sell for. When Diana returned, I maintained my composure, asking innocent questions about the children, while my mind raced with this new information. The following morning brought an unexpected visitor, Arthur Thompson, my family's longtime attorney. He seemed surprised to find me at Sunshine Meadows. "Eleanor, I was visiting my aunt on the 3rd floor and saw your name on the resident directory. What on earth are you doing here?" We sat in a quiet corner of the garden where I explained everything. "This doesn't sound right." Arthur frowned. "Marcus came to me about updating your estate planning, but he indicated you were having significant cognitive issues. You seem perfectly sharp to me." "He what?" My shock turned to anger. Arthur, I've had no cognitive assessment suggesting any impairment. That's very concerning, Arthur said gravely. He specifically asked about how assets could be transferred well before you became unable to manage them. And what did you tell him? That any major changes would require your clear consent and understanding. He seemed disappointed with that answer. Arthur promised to look into the power of attorney situation and left me with his direct number. Don't discuss this with Marcus yet, he advised. Let me do some checking first. That evening I confided in Jasmine about this new development. I'm not surprised, she said, helping me organize my medications. I've seen this before. You need to check your bank accounts. I don't have my banking information or computer here, I lamented. Use mine, she offered, pulling out a laptop during her break. Do you remember your login information? Thankfully I did. What we discovered was alarming: several large transfers from my personal account to a joint account I shared with Marcus, originally set up years ago for emergency purposes. Over $50,000 had moved in the past month alone. This is theft, Jasmine said bluntly. I can't believe Marcus would do this, I whispered, though the evidence was clear. Jasmine squeezed my hand. Family doesn't always act like family should. The final blow came when Frank, the retired professor, mentioned seeing Marcus loading items into his car from a storage unit behind the main building. Said they were some of your husband's things being moved to climate-controlled storage, Frank reported. Seemed in an awful hurry, though. With Jasmine's help, I gained access to this storage area and discovered most of Harold's prized possessions were gone. His vintage watch collection, the Civil War-era pistol from his grandfather, even the fountain pens from his desk. A call to Marcus's assistant, who'd always liked me, confirmed my fears. Oh, Mr. Garrison sold those at auction last week, she said, before realizing her mistake. I'm sorry, I thought you knew. The betrayal was complete. My son wasn't just taking my home and independence, he was erasing Harold's memory for profit. As my shock gave way to determination, Jasmine became my closest confidant. During her breaks and after her shifts, we would talk for hours. Unlike my own family, she actually listened. My mother died of breast cancer when I was 24. Jasmine shared one evening as we sat in the small garden behind the facility. I had just started nursing school. No other family stepped up to help, so I dropped out to care for her. That must have been incredibly difficult, I said, thinking of how Marcus had barely visited during Harold's final illness. It was, but I don't regret it. Her eyes reflected both sadness and strength. After she passed, I went back to school, then Zoe came along. Been working on my degree part-time ever since. How much longer until you finish? I asked. 2 more semesters to become an RN, she explained. But Zoe's school just raised tuition and my financial aid got reduced. Might have to postpone again. Without thinking, I reached for my checkbook, one thing Marcus hadn't managed to take from me yet. How much is the tuition increase? Mrs. Garrison, I wasn't hinting. Eleanor, I corrected. And I know you weren't. But I'd like to help. After some gentle insistence, she accepted my check for $3,000 to cover Zoe's school expenses. The gratitude in her eyes was worth every penny. Our friendship deepened through shared interests I'd never expected. Jasmine loved gardening just as I did, and we began tending a small plot together. I taught her to make Harold's favorite buttermilk biscuits in the facility's kitchen during off hours, and she taught me how to use a tablet computer to research legal matters. When Jasmine brought Zoe to meet me, I fell instantly in love with the bright-eyed girl who carried a well-worn book of poetry. My grandma loved poetry too, Zoe told me seriously. Mom says I'm just like her. Would you read me some? I asked, and her face lit up. As weeks passed, I found myself looking forward to Jasmine's shifts and Zoe's weekend visits more than anything else. They brought board games, shared stories, and treated me with a respect that my own family had forgotten. Mom, who's this? Marcus asked during one of his increasingly rare visits, finding Zoe helping me arrange photographs. This is Zoe, Jasmine's daughter, I explained. They visit me regularly. The nurse's kid, is that appropriate? His tone was dismissive. Jasmine is my friend, I said firmly. And Zoe is delightful company. Marcus frowned. Mom, these people are staff. They're paid to be nice to you. Jasmine visits on her own time, I countered, and she's shown more genuine concern for me than you have lately. That's not fair, he protested, though he couldn't meet my eyes. We've been busy with the house sale and my house sale, I corrected coldly, which I never approved. He changed the subject quickly, but I noticed how he watched Jasmine with suspicion when she came to check my blood pressure. The tension was palpable. After he left, Jasmine found me upset. Don't let him get to you, she advised. My mama always said true family is who shows up when it matters. You and Zoe have shown up more than my own son, I admitted. Speaking of showing up, Jasmine hesitated. Zoe's school play is next Friday. She's playing the lead in Charlotte's Web. She'd love if you could come. I'd be honored, I said, realizing it was the first event I'd been invited to since arriving at Sunshine Meadows. Attending Zoe's play required arranging transportation and getting approval for an evening outing. Seeing her beam from the stage as she spotted me in the audience, I felt a joy I hadn't experienced in years. Afterward, when she introduced me to her teacher as my friend Ms. Eleanor, who's teaching me to bake, I realized how much I'd been missing genuine connection. Jasmine and I talked late into the night after the play, sharing our hopes and fears. She confessed her dream of becoming a nurse practitioner, specializing in geriatric care. I shared my fears about Marcus's intentions regarding my estate. He seems to think I'm already incapable of making decisions, I said. Then we need to prove him wrong, Jasmine replied with determination. What began as friendly support was evolving into something deeper, a bond of mutual respect and genuine affection that filled the emptiness my family had left behind. The more I learned about Marcus's schemes, the clearer it became that I needed to take decisive action. With Jasmine's encouragement, I began implementing a strategic plan to reclaim control of my life. My first step was meeting with Dr. Howard, the geriatrician at Sunshine Meadows. Doctor, I'd like a formal cognitive assessment, I requested. My son has questioned my competence, and I need documentation of my actual mental status. Dr. Howard conducted thorough testing, concluding, Mrs. Garrison, your cognitive function is above average for your age group. There's absolutely no medical justification for anyone else making decisions on your behalf. Armed with this report, I contacted Arthur Thompson. I need to revoke the power of attorney immediately, I told him, and I want to create a new trust to protect my assets. Arthur came the next day, bringing the necessary paperwork and good news. The power of attorney Marcus is using was improperly executed, he explained. You were under medication when you signed it, and there was no secondary witness as required by state law. It won't hold up to challenge. We drafted new documents explicitly revoking all previous powers of attorney and establishing a revocable trust with Arthur as trustee. I also rewrote my will, significantly reducing Marcus's inheritance and establishing education trusts for my grandchildren that Marcus couldn't access. My next move was bolder. Through Arthur, I arranged a meeting with Thomas Reynolds, Marcus's chief competitor at Reynolds Construction. Thomas, I understand my son is planning a development called Lakeside Luxury Condos, I said during our confidential lunch. Thomas looked surprised. Yes, he's been attempting to secure the lakefront property adjacent to our Hammond Street project. We've been bidding against each other. What would you say if I told you his funding source might be questionable? Thomas leaned forward with interest as I explained how Marcus was planning to use proceeds from my house sold without my proper consent to finance his project. That would constitute fraud if proven, Thomas noted, and the banks financing the project would certainly withdraw if there was any hint of improper funding. I'm not asking you to do anything unethical, I assured him, but should the opportunity arise to mention these concerns to mutual associates in the banking community. Thomas understood perfectly. Within a week, Marcus's financing for Lakeside was under scrutiny, with the bank requesting additional documentation of fund sources. Simultaneously, I arranged for an independent psychological evaluation with Dr. Grace Chen, a renowned geriatric psychiatrist. Her assessment was unequivocal. Mrs. Garrison demonstrates excellent judgment, intact memory, and appropriate insight. There is no psychiatric or cognitive basis for surrogate decision-making. Jasmine introduced me to Patricia Alvarez, an attorney specializing in elder rights. Patricia helped me file formal complaints about Marcus's financial activities with my accounts and initiated the process to invalidate the house sale. The real estate transaction was based on false premises, Patricia explained. The buyers were told you had approved the sale and were permanently moving to assisted living due to cognitive decline. Both statements are demonstrably false. Through discreet inquiries, I discovered Marcus and Diana were facing significant financial pressures. The economic downturn had affected Garrison Steel, and Diana's interior design business had several large unpaid invoices. They had recently refinanced their mortgage and withdrawn Jennifer from her expensive private school. While organizing my remaining possessions, I found an old letter from Harold that proved prophetic. Eleanor, I worry about Marcus's relationship with money. He's always wanted more than he is never appreciating what's in front of him. Watch him carefully with the company finances when I'm gone. Harold had seen the warning signs I'd been blind to out of maternal love. With Jasmine's technical assistance, I set up online access to monitor all my remaining accounts and installed a small camera in my apartment to ensure no more of my possessions disappeared during Marcus's visits. The most difficult step was reaching out to my grandchildren directly. Jennifer was initially distant during our phone call, but softened when I mentioned her upcoming dance recital information Marcus had never shared with me. Dad said you were too confused to remember things like that, she admitted. Jennifer, I'm perfectly lucid, I assured her. Someone has been dishonest with you about my condition, but it wasn't me. By the end of our conversation, she promised to visit independently. Lucas was more forthcoming, revealing that Marcus and Diana argued constantly about money and had told the children they might have to move to a smaller house. Dad said selling Grandpa's house would solve everything, Lucas confided. The pieces were falling into place. Marcus wasn't just being opportunistic, he was desperate. That made him dangerous, but also vulnerable. With my allies assembled and evidence mounted, I was ready for the final confrontation. I asked Jasmine, "Are you prepared for what comes next? Marcus won't take this lying down." "Eleanor," she said firmly, using my first name as she now always did in private. "My mama raised me to stand by good people. You're family to me and Zoe now. We're not going anywhere." Her words meant everything. I was no longer alone in this fight. The conference room at Sunshine Meadows felt unnecessarily formal for a family meeting, but I wanted neutral territory with witnesses. Arthur Thompson sat beside me, legal documents neatly arranged. Patricia Alvarez waited in the adjoining room, ready if needed. Dr. Howard had provided a letter confirming my competence that sat prominently on the table. Marcus and Diana arrived 10 minutes late. Their expressions changed from irritation to concern when they saw Arthur. "Mom, what's this about?" Marcus asked, eyeing Arthur suspiciously. "Please sit down," I said calmly. "We have important matters to discuss." Diana clutched her designer handbag nervously. "Is everything okay? Are you not feeling well?" "I'm perfectly healthy," I replied. "My mind is clear, and according to Dr. Howard, my cognitive functions are excellent. Arthur can confirm this independently." Arthur nodded. "Mrs. Garrison underwent comprehensive evaluation. There are absolutely no grounds for questioned capacity." Marcus shifted uncomfortably. "No one's questioning anything. We're just concerned about your safety living alone." "Let's be honest, Marcus," I said, sliding forward a folder. "This isn't about my safety, it's about my money." The folder contained bank statements showing the transfers from my account's documentation of Harold's items sold at auction and the business plan for lakeside condos with highlighted sections showing my house sale proceeds as the primary investment. Marcus's face paled as he flipped through the pages. "Where did you get these?" "Does it matter?" I asked. "What matters is that you've been systematically attempting to gain control of my assets through deception and manipulation." Diana interjected. That's not fair. We've only been trying to help. By selling my house without proper consent, by liquidating your father's possessions. My voice remained steady despite my anger. By using a questionable power of attorney to transfer my money into accounts you control. Marcus abandoned pretense. The company is struggling, Mom. The lakeside development is our chance to diversify before Garrison Steel faces bankruptcy. So you decided to sacrifice my home and independence instead of being honest with me? I asked. Would you have helped if I'd asked? His tone was bitter. You always said the house would stay in the family, that my inheritance would come when the time was right. Well, we needed it now, not after you're gone. Diana touched his arm in warning, but he continued. Diana's business is failing. Jennifer's college fund is nearly empty. We're underwater on the mortgage. What choice did we have? You could have asked for help, I said softly. Instead, you treated me like I was already gone. It was Diana's idea, Marcus blurted, causing his wife to gasp. The power of attorney, the nursing home, she said it was the only way. How dare you, Diana snapped. You agreed to everything. You're the one who said your mother was becoming senile. As they turned on each other, I interrupted. Enough. Here's what's going to happen. I slid forward the legal documents Arthur had prepared. First, the invalid power of attorney is officially revoked. Second, I've created a new estate plan. The house sale is being contested as fraudulent, and I expect it will be reversed given the circumstances. Marcus looked stricken. Mom, please, we need that money. I'm not finished, I continued. I've established education trusts for Jennifer and Lucas that neither of you can access. They'll have funds for college regardless of your financial decisions. Diana began to cry, but I pressed on. The remainder of my estate will now be divided differently. 20% will go to you, Marcus, not the 60% originally planned. 30% will go to the Garrison Foundation for technical education scholarships, and the remaining 50% will go to my new daughter. Daughter? Marcus looked confused. What are you talking about? At that moment, Jasmine entered with a tray of water glasses, her presence no accident. Marcus, Diana, you know Jasmine Thompson. I've begun the process of adult adoption to make her legally my daughter. The shock on their faces was almost comical. Diana recovered first. This is ridiculous. She's obviously after your money. Jasmine has shown me more genuine care and respect in 3 months than you have in years, I replied. And unlike you, she never asked for a penny. In fact, she refused my help until I insisted. Marcus turned to Jasmine with undisguised contempt. You've manipulated my mother. We'll fight this in court. Jasmine remained professional. Mr. Garrison, I understand you're upset, but your mother is of sound mind and making her own choices. I suggest you respect that. This isn't over, Marcus threatened. Actually, it can be, I said, pushing forward one final document. This is a conditional amendment. If you drop all claims to my house and assets, return your father's remaining possessions, and commit to weekly family therapy sessions with me, your portion of the inheritance will be restored to 40%. Marcus stared at the paper calculation visible in his eyes. I'm giving you a chance to rebuild our relationship, Marcus. Not for money, but because despite everything, you're still my son. The choice is yours. The meeting ended without resolution. Marcus and Diana left angry and humiliated, but with a clear understanding that I had reclaimed my power. Arthur assured me my legal position was strong, particularly with the documentation of Marcus's actions. In the weeks that followed, we reached a tentative agreement. The house sale was canceled with Marcus covering the penalties. Harold's remaining possessions were returned. Marcus agreed to family counseling, though Diana attended reluctantly. Dr. Rachel Winters, our family therapist, didn't sugarcoat things. There's significant breach of trust here, she noted in our first session. Rebuilding will take time and genuine effort from everyone. Marcus struggled to acknowledge the harm he'd caused, initially justifying his actions as protecting me while securing his inheritance. Only when confronted with how his behavior mirrored his deepest fear, being abandoned and forgotten, did he begin to show genuine remorse. Surprisingly, it was Jennifer who facilitated healing. After visiting me regularly and getting to know Jasmine and Zoe, she confronted her father. "Grandma isn't the problem, Dad," she said, according to Marcus. "Your obsession with money is. It's ruining our family." Her words reached him in a way mine couldn't. Meanwhile, I remained at Sunshine Meadows by choice. The facility had become home, and the friends I'd made there were important to me. With my rights firmly established, I redecorated my apartment, joined the resident council, and worked with administration to improve conditions for everyone. Jasmine and Zoe became fixtures in my life. The adult adoption finalized 6 months after the confrontation with Marcus, making official what our hearts already knew: we were family. I attended Jasmine's nursing school graduation with tears of pride and helped Zoe prepare for her spelling bee with the same dedication I'd once given Jennifer. My relationship with Marcus remained complicated, but improved gradually. The grandchildren visited regularly often, along with Zoe, forming unlikely but wonderful friendships. As for my house, I decided to donate it to the Garrison Foundation with a provision that allowed Marcus and his family lifetime access to visit the gardens Harold and I had lovingly created. It seemed fitting that our family legacy would now help others build their futures through education. Looking back at my journey from betrayal to redemption, I realized that family isn't always defined by blood. Sometimes it's found in the kindness of strangers who become more loyal than those who share your name. Jasmine didn't just save me from Marcus's schemes, she saved me from the loneliness and invisibility that so many seniors experience. True family stands by you when it matters most. They see your value beyond your assets or what you can provide. They honor your autonomy while offering support. These lessons came at a painful price, but I wouldn't change the outcome. At 72, I discovered that it's never too late to rewrite your will, both the legal document and your life's trajectory. By standing up for myself, I found strength I didn't know I possessed. By opening my heart to Jasmine and Zoe, I found the authentic family connection I'd been missing. If you're facing similar challenges with family members who see you as a resource rather than a person, remember that age doesn't diminish your right to respect and self-determination. Seek allies who value you for who you are, not what you have. Create the family you deserve, even if that means looking beyond blood relations. I still meet weekly with Marcus and the grandchildren. Healing continues slowly but steadily. Diana eventually filed for divorce, unable to accept the new family dynamic. Marcus, to his credit, has worked to become a better father and son. He'll never fully regain my trust, but we've found a way forward based on clearer boundaries and expectations. And every evening, Jasmine, Zoe, and I share dinner together, creating new traditions and memories. We're bound not by obligation or inheritance, but by genuine love and respect, the only foundation family should ever be built upon. Have you ever had to stand up to family members who didn't respect your choices? Or have you found family connections with people who aren't related by blood? Share your experience in the comments below. And if this story resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe to hear more stories of finding strength and family in unexpected places. Remember, it's never too late to rewrite your own story and choose who truly deserves to be part of it. Thank you for listening, and may you always find the courage to stand up for yourself when it matters most.